Sure. You guys all remember what is this tool chain, right? DevOps tool chain, where exactly it starts. So we start from plan, where we use tools like Jira to identify what are the different activities that we need to do, like starting from how many modules, what are the different features that we are going to develop. So then it goes to the developer who will start writing the code. And ultimately, after multiple developers start writing the code and creating a build out of it in order to deliver the application to the local team. So that's when we create a build using Maven or Gradle, different tools. Sometimes it is Docker based on the application that you are developing. And it gets deployed into the local environment, not into the customer environment, local environment. That is dev, test, and stage. Deployed and tested thoroughly before it is being released to the customer. Released to the customer means there are different processes involved, that is deploying the application into the production environment and operating them either locally or by customer. So if you see that deploy, release are integral part of your DevOps tool chain. And then operate is like done by multiple people at the same time, either some operations team locally within the organization and some operations done by the customer. The usual way of accessing the application is also called operation, because they are trying to access application, utilize application features, and try to continuously use it. Then we need to monitor when the operation is being happening. We need to monitor few things. Based on monitoring only, we can decide whether the application is running fine, whether it has enough CPU available, enough memory available, enough disk available, or the application is responding properly within the stipulated response time. All of these things are highly critical for an application to be running, and it is always accessible to the customer. There are a few things that I told you before. Highly available, highly scalable, fault tolerant architecture. So highly available is one of the most important feature, most important fact that you need to always continuously monitor whether customer has no any downtime. So any doubts on this monitoring side? Because we are going to the monitoring section to understand how we monitor, how we analyze each metrics. Now I'm moving on to the tools section. What are the different tools that we use at different phases? So plan phase, I told you already. Jira is the tool that we use for creating tickets, assigning tickets to people, and sometimes depends on the organization. Slack can also be used, and some small organization they still go ahead with Excel, which is not correct DevOps practice, but you are supposed to use at least tools like Slack or Jira, so that you can keep a track of what each person is doing, what exactly the status of each task. Okay. Then with respect to coding for developers, it will be either one of the IDE tool, integrated development environment tool. Using that, they'll develop code and they'll use build a tool like Maven, Gradle, or Docker to create the build out of it and do a code analysis using SonarQube. So these are all the important tools with respect to developers. Here we have not talked about any CI/CD. We talked about only the build tool and the code analysis tool. Once a build is done, we'll use maybe for making the build, we'll use GitLab CI to continuously pick up the changes, that is continuous integration and continuous deployment, to deploy application to the Kubernetes or any of the compute environment. So here, before even deploying anything to the environment, we should have infrastructure as code tool, that is like Terraform, to create resources in cloud and do a CI/CD in order to make sure the application is continuously, the infrastructure is continuously integrated, changes are continuously integrated and continuously deployed using GitLab CI to Terraform. Sorry, AWS, using Terraform. In our case, it will be AWS Cloud, and the tool will be used is Terraform. And apart from that, we also need to use artifacts tool like ECR repository or artifacts tools like JFrog or Nexus. Those are all tools which uses some file systems to store and retrieve, build, and other artifacts. So in the end, what we do is we release a product to the customer, update the customer, give a notification to the customer stating that this particular version is released, this particular feature is available for you. For example, if you look at Netflix, right, you will keep getting some messages that this particular movie is released that you can watch. So that is kind of a notification that you receive after the release. So I just talked about only the DevOps tool chain and the tools and the process. Any questions on this so far? Hope no questions. Okay. So say, for example, you are using a mobile phone continuously for some time. You definitely end up having some issues. It could be a battery issue, a battery is getting drained, or your mobile phone is getting heated, or you may see that if you continuously take photos or maybe store some other files, your storage gets filled and you get a notification that storage is full. Or you might experience some issue with the click of the particular application, opening particular application, because your response time is more than 2 seconds, or it is even sometimes in half a minute or things like that. If your system is really low in RAM or low in disk space, in that case, what do you do? Some of the actions you take, that is like restart the mobile phone or kill some applications to restore some memory or storage. So do you guys do it on a regular basis or at least sometime? Do you agree with this?
Yes, Shankar.
Yeah, Shankar.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. So what can I call it as? This one, the battery, storage, memory, all this. What can I call it as? Data. Can I call it as data? Because some data is available. How much is the battery usage? How much battery is left? Or we can call it as metrics. So this is the most fundamental thing for any monitoring. Metrics is the most fundamental thing, which is nothing but collection of data or data. What is the next important thing with respect to monitoring? We need to identify what is the threshold. Beyond a particular point, you think it is not good. Say, you probably feel something is going wrong, right? Beyond a particular point, you feel that okay, system may get shut down or system may not work. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to notify people and you need to also take some actions. So all of these things are part of your monitoring, that you have to have a threshold set and you have to have some notifications enabled and you have to do some actions. For example, if your EC2 instance is going above 80%, the CPU utilization, what are you supposed to do? You have to either clean up some processes or kill some applications notifications so that your application behaves correctly. Especially that you can use using CloudWatch. You can monitor EC2 instance or any of the AWS services, and based on the threshold, you can send a notification that is using SNS service, and either you can any of the actions that you can take it can be auto scaling or stop or restart or your EC2 instance. This is at the EC2 instance level. At the same time, it is possible for you to do for any of the AWS services. Okay. With respect to little bit of theory, I would like to give little more information. Like you have an EC2 instance running on your AWS cloud. If something happens to this machine, you have to continuously monitor using CloudWatch. You'll have to create alarms that will check for CPU utilization above 80%. Then you will send a notification, SNS notification to SNS email notification to a particular email which is registered, and then you will take some action. It could be stop or restart or terminate an instance at this point. And then close the loop, because any unexpected event, we want to get notified through email or SMS or any other PagerDuty kind of notification channel, and then you have to take some action, and then finally you will do a root cause analysis. That is why it has happened, what exactly caused this particular issue. All those things you will be doing it after you get the notification. Okay. Any questions? Any doubts so far?
Shankar, SNS means?
SNS is like simple notification service.
Okay.
So basically, this is also a service that needs to be integrated in your CloudWatch. CloudWatch is your AWS monitoring tool. Is it fine? I mean, we can go ahead and then look at the practical session now, right away.
Yeah, yes, please.
Sure. I'll go ahead and share the screen from the other device and start doing I'll start creating an EC2 instance and then configure the metrics. Any other questions, anyone? Like Vikas, Jeevan? Okay, for this.
No.
Okay, sure. So for this, we need to create an EC2 instance first, and then go to CloudWatch, and then configure metrics, use one of the metrics, CPU metrics, and then put 80% as the threshold, and configure SNS, integrate SNS, and send email notification, and then take some action. So this is at the high level we'll be doing it. Why is it required? Why monitoring is required? Atulya, you can probably pitch in and then share your experience, why monitoring is required.
Monitoring is required that to maintain a stable system, stability of the application actually. So if any issues happen, like through the monitoring, we can find it out because we are setting alarms and all those things. We will be able to, before the user get affected, we will be able to, in very good cases, we will be able to resolve the issues so that the user impact won't be there.
Get notified and resolve issues prior.
Yes.
Okay. And we also make sure that system is running reliably for the customer. If you don't have any monitoring set, right, what will happen is customer has to go through a lot of problems and you will never come to know that when there is something going wrong with the customer. Even if you configure everything, there is a high possibility that customer will go through something, then only you'll come to know. But you'll have to again add those monitoring into your system, that extra monitoring. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Any other discussions?
You should have got it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and disconnect from this device. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Sure. I'll go ahead and share my screen from this device. So you could also create a EC2 instance directly from your AWS console or from your Git bash by just going to simple EC2. Just run a /deploy.sh and you can create an instance. What I'll do is I already have an EC2 instance running. Just make sure you create an EC2 instance before you start doing things. I'll give you last 30 minutes time for you. Another 10 minutes, I'll try to finish it off. So go to instances running. You can see that instance is running. It is t2.micro. What am I supposed to do is go to the search, type CloudWatch, click on CloudWatch. You can also see that it is for monitoring and creating dashboards. So if you simply type CloudWatch, you will see that monitor resources and applications. After you go to your CloudWatch, you need to go to metrics, go to all metrics, and then search for a particular resource that you want to monitor, for which you want to configure monitoring. Configure some metrics. So go to per instance metrics and search for that EC2 instance, whatever is running. That instance ID, particular instance ID, you can copy and paste it in the search. You will see the list of metrics available for you to monitor. In that, we'll go with the CPU utilization. if we will just go ahead and say create alarm for this particular instance. So you see that the metric name is CPU utilization, which instance you are going to monitor, and then statistic is like average, because the CPU utilization will be calculated based on the average for the last 5 minutes or 2 minutes and things like that. Because it is based on time, it is going to vary. So I'll go with the last 1 minute so that we get the notification quickly. So we have to use a threshold value that is greater than or equals. So we'll set it to 80%. And we'll decide based on how many times you get a problem. See, either 1 out of 1 or 2 out of 2. After how many events that you want to decide whether this is a particular issue or not. Say sometimes it might go to a peak and then come down immediately, right? Sometimes it might stay at the same time, same place for longer time. In that case, it is fine. If it is going to a peak and then coming down, then you don't need to take an action. In that case, you just set your data points to alarm as 3 out of 3. That means you want to wait for 3 continuous minutes, 3 consecutive minutes. So your average period is 1 minute, and out of 3 minutes, if you see that it is beyond the threshold, then you just go ahead and then send out an alarm. So here treat missing data as ignore. Okay, and not breaching threshold means you are supposed to say that if the data is not available for you to calculate whether the CPU is available, what is the CPU usage and all, you feel that it is not breaching threshold, that means there is no problem at all. Sometimes you may get an alarm for a wrong case where it is not able to even find out what is the CPU utilization. That case also sometimes you may get an alarm. So in order to avoid that, we are trying to select this particular configuration. So what kind of notification that you want to create? So we need to go with SNS simple notification service. We can say that create a new topic. That means new way of sending out the notification. There's something called a topic that you need to create in order to create a notification and send out a notification. Say I'll go ahead with my email ID. So the thing is, I'll see this particular topic is created. You can see that under Amazon SNS, there is a topic that is created. And underneath, I'll have the subscription also added. What I need to do is, I need to go to my Gmail account and then verify from there, so that I get the confirmation. Okay, this also I don't have. This thing is filled. So okay. We'll go ahead with this particular stuff for now. We'll go ahead with the next step. So notification is already added. Then other actions, auto-scaling actions, EC2 actions, any one of this thing you can do. You can say that when it is an alarm, you can say that terminate this instance, so that you clearly see that instance is terminated at that particular point. We'll look at other actions like auto scaling or lambda actions later. We'll go ahead with the existing ones. When it is an alarm state, you will be doing a termination of this instance. I can say that alarm name is CPU. Then finally say create alarm. So you can see that CPU above 80 alarm is created, and you can see also the graph where exactly it is currently. It is about 5.69 or for 3.69 is the average CPU utilization. Whereas we expect it to create an alarm at 80%. So I would like to stop the recording for now.